Your family tree is impossible, not complicated, not hard to trace. Mathematically impossible, because if you follow it back far enough, it demands more people than have ever existed on planet Earth. Here is the proof, and you can check the math yourself. You have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents. Every generation back, the number doubles. Go back just 40 generations, about 1,000 years, and that number balloons past 1 trillion ancestors. But in the entire history of our species, only around 100 billion people have ever lived. So your family tree 1,000 years ago needs roughly 10 times more ancestors than every human who has ever drawn breath. Something is very wrong. And by the end of this, you will understand why your family tree secretly folds in on itself, why you are almost certainly descended from kings, and why every single person alive on Earth today is quite literally your cousin. It sounds insane. The math says it is not. Start with that doubling because it is deceptively powerful. 10 generations back, you already have around 1,000 ancestors. 20? Over 1 million. 30? More than 1 billion. 40? That trillion. Meanwhile, the entire human population 1,000 years ago was only around 300 million people. So the math has painted us into an impossible corner. You need 1 trillion ancestors. There were only a few 100 million people alive to be them. There is only one way out of that contradiction. The same people have to fill your ancestor slots more than once. Your family tree is not actually a tree. A tree branches out and out, growing wider forever. Yours does the opposite. Go back far enough, and the branches start bending back and reconnecting to each other. Scientists call it pedigree collapse. It means that somewhere in your past, over and over, the same ancestor sits in 2 different places on your tree at once. And that forces a fact most people never want to hear. Every single one of your ancestors married a relative, a distant cousin, every couple in every generation stretching back forever. Not because they were strange, but because, mathematically, there was never anyone else. The pool of humans was simply too small. You are the product of countless cousins quietly finding each other over and over for 100,000 years. In fact, the whole picture flips. As you count backwards, your number of distinct ancestors climbs, peaks, and then begins to shrink. The deeper you go, the fewer separate people are actually up there because more and more of the branches turn out to be the same handful of individuals wearing different hats. At the very top of your family tree does not sit a vast crowd of strangers. It sits a small, tightly connected group of humans, appearing again and again in thousands of positions at once. You are not descended from a widening ocean of people, but from a small pool on endless repeat. And that has a staggering consequence. If everyone's tree folds back into the same small pool, then all of our trees have to overlap. In 1999, a Yale statistician named Chang decided to calculate exactly how much. He modeled how human ancestry actually spreads across generations, and the results stunned him. The most recent common ancestor of everyone alive, a single person that literally every human on the planet is descended from, did not live hundreds of thousands of years ago. By his model, for people of European descent, that shared ancestor lived only about 600 years ago. And for the entire human race, a common ancestor of all of us lived just a few thousand years back, not some distant figure in a cave, someone alive while the pyramids were already standing. Then it gets stranger. In 2004, Chang worked with 2 other researchers, Douglas Rode and Steve Olson, and published the finding in the journal Nature. They uncovered something called the identical ancestors point. Go back far enough, only a few thousand years, and you reach a moment where every single person alive at that time falls into one of 2 groups. Either they left no living descendants at all, or they are an ancestor of every human being alive today. Not most humans, everyone. The person hearing this right now. Someone in a village on the far side of the planet you will never meet. A billionaire. A newborn baby. If a human alive 7,000 years ago has any living descendants at all, then they are your direct ancestor, and mine, and everyone's. That far back, there is no such thing as my ancestors and your ancestors. There is one shared pool that all of humanity pours out of. This is where it stops being abstract and starts being personal. Take Charlemagne, the emperor who ruled most of Western Europe 1,200 years ago. The geneticist Adam Rutherford put it as bluntly as it can be put. If you have any European ancestry at all, you are not maybe, not probably, but certainly descended from Charlemagne. It is not a rare and special bloodline. It is simple arithmetic, and it does not stop with the crown. You are just as certainly descended from the servants who emptied his chamber pots, the farmers in his fields, the beggars at his gate. You carry emperors and peasants in exactly equal measure, because the tree drags all of them down into the same single point. You. Or take Genghis Khan. In 2003, a genetic study found that around 16 million men alive today, roughly 1 in every 200 men on Earth, carry a Y chromosome traced straight back to him and his family. One man, 800 years ago, sitting inside the bodies of 16 million people right now. And here is the final strange turn. Being descended from someone does not mean you carry their DNA. Go back only 10 or so generations, and many of the ancestors on your tree gave you nothing genetic at all. Their DNA got shuffled out along the way. So you are descended from millions of people who left you not a single gene, only their place in the vast web that eventually produced you. Your real family, your genealogical family, is almost unimaginably larger than the tiny handful of ancestors your DNA actually came from. So here is what all of this is really telling you. You were taught to picture your ancestry as a private line, your bloodline, your heritage. A single branch that belongs to you and your family alone. That picture is simply wrong. Your family tree is not a branch at all. It is a knot, a place where the entire human species loops back through itself and crosses over again and again until everyone is tangled into everyone. Go back far enough, and it is genuinely not that far. And there are no separate families. There is one family, one tree. And every human who has ever lived is either a dead end or standing somewhere up in your branches.
We spend so much of our history obsessed with the opposite idea: bloodlines, purity, my people and your people, us and them. And the quiet, almost unbelievable truth, written into the mathematics of your own family tree, is that there is no them. The person you argue with online, the stranger on the far side of the world, the face you have been taught to call an enemy. Trace it back not very far at all, and you find the very same ancestors standing at the top of both your trees. Your family tree was never impossible. It just turned out to be far bigger than you were ever taught to imagine. It has room for every person who has ever lived. Because in the end, it is all of us.